Biden will host George Floyd's family at the White House. Democrats are now working to get rid of qualified immunity, and a woman is actually racist against her own child. I'm William Hall, and this is The William Hall Show. All right, welcome back to the show. So let's go ahead and jump right into things here. So Biden is planning on hosting George Floyd's family at the White House. Now, right off the bat, this is a bad idea, I think, for anybody that realized who George Floyd really was. Of course, I don't think they really care about the details of that, but basically this is all coming down to the statement here that's saying that he's going to host his family at the White House this week to mark a year since Floyd was killed while in the custody of the Minneapolis Police Department. So once again, what I have to ask in this situation is, why? Why are we doing this? Is it because of his character? I mean, what was it about George Floyd's character that was so good, so great, that we should be hosting his family here and pretending as if this was the best person ever? Because the people that actually knew George Floyd's character knew that he was not a good person. Now, that was the lie that they loved to talk about last year, shortly after the incident. But that was a complete lie. Because what we actually found out was that this was the same guy that had a long criminal record. He was a person that was not good to the community. People in the community did not like this guy. He was regularly dealing or taking drugs. He was somebody that also was apparently starring in different pornography films. I mean, this wasn't a good person of character whatsoever. And what example does this guy set for black men or young black men or whatever it is that they think that this inviting their family to the White House is somehow going to improve or prove at this point? There isn't anything there. What did this guy really do? The only example that he set was a bad example, if anything. What about his criminal record? Well, as I just mentioned, it's a mile long. The guy was holding a woman at gunpoint. I mean, there's plenty of other things that he's done in the past that validates him at least being deemed as a person that is not good, a person that has been a drain on society, a person that really is kind of the worst of the black community. Why then are they memorializing this guy in this way? The drug use, the abuse towards women. You have to stop and wonder how in the world Biden is trying to bring his family in here as if this guy was the best person ever. I mean, what lies could you possibly tell? I mean, everything that they say would have to be a lie at this point. A lot of it were the lies when you heard the trial. I mean, they did the same thing. They talked about all of the stuff that George Floyd did, and he was such this great brother, and I mean, they had this guy's brother up there just lying to the people, just lying to everyone, completely misrepresenting who he was and pretending as if this was some funeral. And that's the problem that you have here, is that I don't think that Biden really cares about any of the details. This is nothing but them using George Floyd's family as a political device, to pander, to pretend as if they care so much about what's going on and to really prove this. But in reality, they don't really care about what's going on. This is a simple situation where it fits the narrative. It fits the narrative, and that's it. I mean, what about Breonna Taylor's mother? I doubt that they're going to bring her to the White House because she recently came out and was arguing against BLM because she said, "You guys are all talk. You don't even know who I am, and I'm her mother." Like, how can you really care if you don't even believe that? Or don't know who I am? You can't really care. You're saying all this stuff, all the right stuff, but you don't believe any of it. And you're frauds. That's what she was saying. And I'm sure she's looking at this exact same situation and saying, this guy's a fraud, man. He doesn't care about this because it's only the cases that were high profile enough for him to care. That's all this is about. So it's really just pandering is all it really comes down to. The other thing too is that his example that resisting arrest is an appropriate response to law enforcement is horrible. Because what you're seeing here is that George Floyd was a bad person that also set a horrible example of how you were supposed to behave with police officers. And when you see that, Once again, why is this person somebody that you would want brought into the White House or their family? Why are we commending this behavior? It's bad behavior. Which of these qualities, accomplishments, is the main reason for the honor of this person? Once again, I'm still waiting for it. Because it seems like every Democrat just says, don't pay attention to that. Don't look over there. Don't look at everything that he was. Just pay attention to what happened to him, and that's it. But you can't ignore what's happening here, because especially at these situations where they're just blatantly lying to your face about what actually took place. The issue is that Floyd had a tragic life. He had a tragic death. Nobody's arguing against that. But the point is that this is just another exploitation of himself, of George Floyd and his family, to try and fit the agenda and get Biden and everybody to look like they're so progressive, even though they're having issues passing any kind of police reform whatsoever. Because now the Democrats are looking at trying to end qualified immunity. So that's essentially the protection that is granted to police officers away from lawsuits. Because police officers have to do things all the time that are at least to do their job, to make sure that they are fighting crime and things like that. They have to do things like arrest you that may be against your will. Nobody wants to be arrested. So what takes place is that they have a qualified immunity that basically says that you cannot essentially sue them simply because of the fact that they chose to arrest you on a day because you looked like you were doing something or were actually doing something bad. That's basically what that does. Democrats are trying to end this entirely. So a group of 10 House Democrats are demanding that any police reform package include a blanket ban on qualified immunity for police officers. So what could go wrong with this banning of qualified immunity? Well, basically everything. Democrats for the longest period of time talked about defunding the police. That was the big thing, right? Is that they wanted to get rid of the police, abolish the police, defund the police, get rid of them entirely out of these communities. Okay, whatever. We don't agree with that, obviously, but that's what they were trying to push. Now they're talking about this. Here's the thing. This is a weird backdoor way to achieve the same results. Police officers that are leaving in droves and don't want to do their job. Because who in their right mind, what police officer in their right mind would want to legitimately do their job if they knew that they could get sued at any given point in time from anybody just because they felt like it? Now you have them saying, get rid of that qualified immunity. We don't want any of it. Well, you're doing the same thing. You're getting rid of police officers, right? Because they're going to leave. They're already leaving. Apparently, there's this new report here talking in New York right now. Retirements and resignation rates have skyrocketed just in the last year because of the talks of this, let alone the actual putting this into place as a law. Because what's going to happen is that law enforcement officers will have no protection. No protection means they're not going to want to do their job. Therefore, more violence is what's going to occur in these neighborhoods that needed law enforcement there. They needed them there. And that's a big problem. You can't just get rid of the qualified immunity out of nowhere. You know, the funny thing is that Democrats want to pretend as if they care about coming to a compromise on police reform, but they're not. They don't really care about that at all. Tim Scott put forward a bill last year that was kind of a good middle ground between what Republicans wanted and what Democrats wanted, and they scrapped it. They didn't even want to hear it out. People don't even remember this. Tim Scott put forward a bill on police reform at that time, and Democrats didn't even give it a chance to be heard. Not they heard it and they didn't even care. They don't care about police reform. It's all about whatever is going to appease the people that they think is going to appease to get their votes, and that's it. That's all it's about. That's all it's about. So there's a 72-year-old man that was nearly beaten to death by a black teen because the man was actually trying to help them out with a flat tire. And this is a tragic story. It really is. Because this is a situation that could have been avoided, but it's one of those things where you have a guy that out of the goodness of his own heart was doing something nice and suffered the consequences of doing so. So Jason Jones, this is the man, 72 years old, was driving to Kansas City last week when he saw a couple stranded on the side of the road with a blown out tire. He was kind of standoffish, kind of wished I hadn't stopped, but I kept asking and they kept saying yes. Jones said 19-year-old Choice Davis, I guess, and a woman with him got into his van so he could take them down to find a spare tire. The couple began beating Jones as he drove back down to their stranded car. He got their tire, got back in the van, and just barely started off. All of a sudden, something hit me in the top of my head, Jones said. Jones opened the van door and dove out to escape, but the 19-year-old man grabbed his neck, choked him, repeatedly punched him in the face. And so the statement from the guy, the old man there, says, in today's world, nobody does that, and that was my thing. I've always stopped to help people. They've always appreciated it until now. Now at my age, maybe I'll think twice next time before I do it again. He was rushed to the hospital. Someone had to dial 911. That was just a passerby, just somebody that saw what was going on. And he was covered in blood, suffered from a brain bleed and a fractured skull. Doctors weren't even sure that he was going to make it, but miraculously he survived. And after spending 11 days in hospital, he was finally released. What these black teens did is pure evil to this man. Make no mistake about it. A guy that actually was trying to do good getting punished by people that are nothing but a bunch of thugs, basically. I mean, why they were doing this, I don't even know. I mean, was it the money? Like, what was going on that made them think it made any sense in their mind to do that to this man? That was purely helping them out. The fact is that incidents like this prove the statistic true. The statistic that the most dangerous group you need to be worried about in the United States is black men. And not as a danger to just other races. They're a danger to everybody. Black men are the biggest danger to every race of any person, even black people themselves, because of these issues like this. Why is it that this guy has to be a statistic? Who knows? It just goes in line to what's actually happening here. And you have this old man trying to actually do something good, and these black people that just continuously ruin and continue to be the worst of the group. Again, the worst examples that they should be setting. But of course, here's the thing. That man that got beat up, he's not going to get invited to the White House, is he? His family's not going to get a big memorial. There's going to be no protest. There's going to be nothing happening. Nobody's assuming any racism. None of the things that the mainstream media has done with all of these events last year are going to be treated the same way in this incident. The mainstream media aren't going to cover it. They don't care. It's not politically expedient for them to do so. All they care about is the situations that fit their specific narrative. Nothing else. And yet this man is sitting here suffering the consequences, not just randomly, but for literally trying to do good. And that's what makes this worse, is that this man was doing something selfless and as a result was hurt in the process by people who could care less about somebody doing a kind act. That is pure evil to me. It's already bad enough when someone just gets attacked, but when they were doing good in the process, it's really, really, really evil to see this kind of stuff happen. Thank goodness these people actually have been charged, I believe, at this point, or arrested or something like that. But still, I mean, they were both arrested. Davis has been granted bond though, but they were at least arrested. But the point still is the same. You're not going to hear this type of media coverage out of this story because they don't care. It doesn't work for them. This isn't part of the narrative. And that's unfortunate that this man has to go through this. And now he's probably going to see just people on the side of the road or anybody on the side of the road and say, you know what, at my age, I'm not bothering with that. I'm not dealing with these black people. Like, I'm done not because I'm racist, but because this is what has happened to me over and over again. Or this incident has marked and scarred me for life. And no one's concerned about that, man. No one cares. Not in the media. They don't, and that's why I'm covering this, because it's stories like these that need to get out. People need to hear about what's going on. It's just really a tragedy that these types of events keep occurring. So just a quick reminder that I do have a Patreon page where you can donate directly to the show. Please also remember to follow my page on Telegram. You can find that at t.me/William5849. Again, that's t.me/William5849. You can follow all of my update statuses and everything like that while Parler gets its stuff together. Chris Rock, black comedian, he's been around in the industry for a very long time, talks about cancel culture.
And what are your thoughts on the cancel culture? Like, if you say something wrong, people will try to cancel you immediately. You even see Ellen dealing with it with her workplace. It seems like it drove her crazy where she's like, you know what, I'm retiring.
Yeah, I know. It's weird when you're a comedian because, like, when you're a comedian, when the audience doesn't laugh, that we get the message.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, you don't really have to cancel us because we get the message.
Right.
They're not laughing. Our feelings hurt.
Right.
When we do something and people aren't laughing, we get it. I don't understand why people feel the need to go beyond that. You know what I mean? It's honestly, to me, it's a disrespect. It's people disrespecting the audience.
Right.
Like, oh, you think you know more than the audience. The audience knows more than everybody, okay? But hey, some things don't need to be said. Some people need to be looked out for. I definitely understand that. But not letting comedians work is, what happens is everybody gets safe.
Right.
And when everybody gets safe and nobody tries anything, things get boring.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I see a lot of unfunny comedians. I see unfunny TV shows. I see unfunny award shows. I see unfunny movies because everybody's scared to make a move. And that's not a place to be. We should have the right to fail.
Right.
Because failure is a part of art. You know what I mean? And it's it's the ultimate cancel. You know what I mean? But but now you got a place where people are scared to talk. That's not especially in America, you're scared to talk. But that's what people want. Got to make adjustments.
Right.
And let's do it.
I've heard a few different comedians talk about one of the most important advice that you ever gave them, which is that you should be nervous still always before you get on that stage, because once you lose that, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, and the nerve isn't like I'm scared I'm gonna be canceled. The nerve is like, yo, I'm scared they're not gonna laugh. That is like a fear of mine. Everything I do, I'm like, okay, I gotta bring it.
Of course, Chris Rock is correct here. I have to agree with him. The issue is that he's no conservative, right? We all know this. Chris Rock kind of aligns with everybody else in Hollywood as one of the people that's very liberal, and he's talked bad things about Trump over the past few years. But, really, I guess in a way I'm like, you don't really get much sympathy from me on this issue because what you've done is created this. You have accepted this. This is what you literally voted for because you refused to pay attention to what was happening on the left in regards to cancel culture. So the thing is that although he's correct and he's right that TV shows aren't funny, nothing really is that funny anymore, because people apparently just can't laugh at things anymore as it is. But although he's correct in that, it's kind of his own fault. He lived into it. He contributed to it. He's not in the clear here by making these statements and making it seem like he's all free speech, because he's really not in a lot of ways. Now, if you go back and you watch the old Chris Rock clips, there's a lot of things where he was talking about the black community and how the black community needs to be held accountable. And, I think it was in this video where he's talking about ways not to get arrested and all common sense things. Hey, guys, don't look like a thug. Hey, guys, don't break into things and expect cops not to arrest you. Hey, don't resist arrest, right? Basic common sense things that he would never say today because they would immediately cancel him over that. And he knows that as well as anyone else does. But he is correct on the point, and that's all I'm going to really focus on here, is what he's actually talking about. Because what he's saying is, quite simply, is that we should have a free speech system, a free speech market, effectively, and allow for the market to correct itself. And isn't that kind of just a general conservative, I guess, cornerstone thought there? Obviously, the free speech, but really what he's arguing for in this market and saying, failure is a portion of automatically a cancel culture, right? I mean, that's a part of what it is. What he's arguing for is effectively a free market of speech, a free market of economy, of comedy. That's what this is. Because just like our normal free market, where we let the market sort itself out based off of the things that are being sold, and if you make a bad product and people leave bad reviews and your company can fail and that your product goes away. It's a free market. No government agency is going to come in and make sure your business is 100% successful, even when it's not successful. But this is a situation where that's effectively what he's arguing for, is we should have free speech, where the market and the people that are listening to comedians can approve or disapprove of what they're saying and just not buy tickets. If you're really that bad, then people aren't going to go see you anymore. It's easy. It's simple as that. But this is what we've been wanting for years. This is what it has been before. What he's arguing for is nothing new. It's no secret. It's funny that he's saying it now this way, but in reality, this is nothing new to anybody that's been alive at all. Because what we've seen is exactly that, and it's exactly the argument for free speech. Is that yes, people should have the right to say whatever they want, but at the same time, that means that they should also be held responsible for the things that they're saying if it's something that is deemed to make them look horrible. If you start spouting a bunch of horribly racist things, then people aren't going to like you, people aren't going to go follow you, and you fail. If you put, like, the point too is, look at businesses, for example. Businesses right now, they're forcing people to wear masks or whatever. It's perfectly legal. It should be perfectly legal for a business to put up a sign and say, you know what, no service for black people. Because it's a free market. They can deny service. It's a private business, right? So the point is, in the argument for that, is that people are going to see that sign on that window that are white or any other race and say, I'm not going there. They're going to make me look bad. I'm not going to go to that restaurant. And guess what? That restaurant is going to fail. That restaurant is going to completely fail because they put something in their window that nobody accepts. The market sorts itself out, just like the free speech market can also sort itself out. If people are saying bad things, you don't have to go buy those tickets. You don't have to go listen to that person. Let it handle itself instead of trying to have these other people say that they know better than everyone else in the market, that they know the market or what the market should be is this. Because what cancel culture is effectively saying is they don't have a right to this, to make money or a living off of this, regardless of whether people are interested in it or not. And that's ridiculous. But he is correct here. Once again, and like I said, there's other old clips of him talking about things as well, to know that comedy should be protected. Absolutely. All speech should be protected, but especially when you look at comedy, that's one of the biggest reasons why Democrats can't joke, they can't laugh, they can't do anything anymore, because everything that is considered as even slightly offensive is automatically the worst thing that could ever happen. And that's just not true. It's their own made up world of thinking everything must revolve around them, when in reality, it couldn't be anything different than that. It really is a totally different world than the left-wing people see it as being, and they refuse to accept it as what it is. All right, so Lego now is deciding to go woke. I don't think this is a surprise to anybody as far as toys and other items like that are meant for kids that are going woke, of course, but Lego is now kind of dipping their foot in this new thing right at this moment where they are unveiling this new playset that is for LGBTQ, and it's only there to virtue signal. That's what this is about, obviously. So they made this tweet, and it says, "We're super excited to reveal our new set. Lego, everyone is awesome because we celebrate every Lego builder." And so if you remember in the movie, there was the song like, "Everything is awesome," whatever that thing is, whatever. So what they're basically doing in this one is saying that everyone is awesome. And so it's like this representation kit to say that whatever way that you are is perfect the way that it is, and you don't need to change anything about yourself because that's the way that our culture has gone. But the issue is that Legos are meant for kids, and they're not going to understand any of this at all. Not whatsoever. I mean, next, what we'll start seeing is maybe a BLM and an Antifa logo on the Lego buildings, and then they can maybe have them destroyed to show and simulate what happened last year, or maybe they'll just have a bunch of police cars that have been burned. Maybe that'll be something that Lego tries to do. I don't know. But this is just another situation where they're trying to cash in on this woke stuff. I believe Pride Month's coming up or something like that. And this is what they try to do during these times. Because, and I'm really surprised that the left-wing people that support this stuff don't notice this. This is directly a company showing you right in front of your face that they are willing to profit off of you, and that's it. All you are is a paycheck to them. Because what they see this as is, oh, they don't, like, the people that aren't paying attention to this, it won't matter to them. They're going to go ahead and keep buying their Legos the way they're buying them already. What this is a way for Lego to market and make money and monetize this woke thing. That's what this is about. These products, anytime you see a product that is supposed to be woke, LGBTQ supporting, and all the rest of that, it's purely about money. That's what companies exist to do. They exist to make money. They make products to make money. They market to make money. Everything that they do is centered entirely on that. So when you see them go in this direction where they try to create some Lego set, do you really think they support it? I mean, maybe they do, but it doesn't matter to them whether they support it or not. They could be vehemently against it altogether. It doesn't matter. If it's going to make them some extra money and make them look woke in the process, they're going to do it. They're going to do it because it keeps them from like the virtue signaling, first of all, but it keeps them from being canceled, presumably, but it also just makes them money in the height of these situations with Pride Month right now. It's a cash in. That's what it is. And they're using it. They're using it and exploiting it for money. And for some reason, left-wing people are perfectly okay with this. I don't know why, but they are okay with this. So here's a picture of kind of what that looks like as well, with the weird rainbow colors and everything. Honestly, it just looks strange to me. And the CEO or somebody was talking about this on Twitter and as a statement about this, and they were saying, well, as a kid, I played with a bunch of different toys, and I just want everybody to know that whatever toy they're playing with, it's okay to play with those toys. Look, I don't think most parents have an issue with their children playing with, generally different toys. I mean, Legos have always been fairly gender neutral as far as I could tell. I mean, it never felt like a boy's toy or a girl specific toy, although most of the time boys tended to play with Legos because they're more kind of this building type thing, and boys tend to play with more building items and things. I mean, I had drawers full of Legos when I was a kid, you know what I mean? But that wasn't really the point either. And I wasn't looking at the Legos hoping that I'd find a black one in the box or a white one or this color or that. They're almost like The Simpsons where they were just yellow and no one cared. But now you have the situation here where they're trying to just tailor in all of this stuff to make it seem like, oh, this already very open and automatically kind of neutral toy is gonna go woke for some reason. I don't get it at all. It's really ridiculous, and it's just confusing to children if they're buying this for your kids. I mean, a lot of people are just automatically going to say, all right, no more Legos, we're done. And I can't really blame them for that at all. So speaking of children and this situations like that, you have this woman who is talking about her child, and she essentially says she's racist against her own child, and she's going to teach him all of these things.
Hi there, my name is Sarah.
This little cutie is my son Bennett.
As you can see, my son is a white male, so here are some books that I bought to help prevent him from growing up to be awful. Starting out strong, we have C is for Consent. Pretty self-explanatory, but it's a picture book that goes into detail about consent with your body, with family. Along that same note, we have Will Ladybug Hug. Teaches the same kind of concept and in a more childish way about a ladybug who is hugging his friends, even has one friend who doesn't like hugging. So this one is called Only for Me. Also, same concept, teaching kids about consent and things that feel comfortable with their body. Because I'm raising a feminist, we've got A is for Awesome, 23 inspirational women. Next, we have I Clean Like Daddy. There's even a page in the end where the whole family is cleaning together to show that it's not just mom and sister's job. Finally, we have Except When They Don't, a book about boys and girls liking whatever they want, regardless of their gender.
All right, so there's a lot to unpack here. This is a weird clip. So if you're listening to this just on the audio, you have this lady flipping through and she's showing different books that she's talking about that she's going to teach her child as they grow up to be an older age. And she's kind of flipping through these different presumably woke books effectively as this is going on. So the thing is that I have no problem, first of all, with you teaching your child not to be a bad person. I think that is a part of parenting, is to teach them the way that they should be as a decent human being. My mom always used to say to me, I'm not raising you so that I can like you. I'm raising you so that other people can like you. And I get that. So that's not the problem here. The issue is the foundation, the actual reasoning as to why she's doing this in the first place and the method that she's going about in doing so. So first of all, there's an assumption that she has that her son is automatically a terrible person from birth. That is, in essence, a major problem. And not just assuming that they're a terrible person from birth, but assuming that they're only terrible because of their race and their sex. If that is what she believes, which is what she said, right? She is racist and sexist towards her own child before they can do anything else. And I saw a bunch of people on Twitter and they said, well, all of you people raise your children a certain way. You Christians, of course, you raise your children to believe in God and to have these basic moral truths. Why can't we do the same thing with our children? Well, the point is that what they're doing is morally just wrong and abusive towards the children themselves. That's why. Because Christians aren't telling their children they're terrible people from the beginning and they must right these wrongs through being or learning these Christian values. That's not what we do. They're doing the exact opposite of that. What they're saying is that this lady is saying that her child is terrible from birth. And it's because of their skin color and their sex, and I must right these wrongs. Christians are saying babies and children are innocent because they haven't been taught right from wrong yet. They don't know. So therefore, they are automatically innocent. Now, they can grow up to be a bad person, of course. But you're not assuming that they're terrible, and you're not assuming it based off of something that's completely arbitrary, like skin color and sex. That's the difference here. This lady is just blatantly bigoted towards her own child from birth. A child that can't speak, a child that can't walk, can't stand, can't do anything. Automatically saying, they're going to be terrible. Here's the things I'm going to do to keep them from being terrible. Children are born innocent. She believes they are born guilty just by being white and male. That's a massive, massive problem going forward if she's supposed to be a mother to this child. And then all these books, they were like, oh, well, there's nothing wrong with each one of these books. Listen, the point is not necessarily the books themselves. Some of the books are just stupid, obviously. I mean, you can listen to them, just hearing the names of them, you know how that's going to be misconstrued in a weird way. But just in this idea, oh, since she's going to be a feminist, like, what? That's the way that these people are starting to raise their children. They're going to wind up growing up weak, unable to handle the real world that's in front of them. And it's blowing me away about this. And honestly, I'm even surprised she's even talking about feminists. I mean, that word in and of itself is pretty much gone. I mean, what does feminist mean nowadays anyways, considering the fact that a lot of these woke parents or mothers are teaching their children that they can be whatever sex they want, that they can be man, woman, or whatever. I mean, why make him a feminist when another woke couple is saying, well, he could just choose to be a woman at any given point in time, right? I mean, you show him this book showing all the, well, he can play with this and he can play with that and he can do this and do that. And there's no specific thing about him thinking that a woman must be able to do this or that or the other. None of this is relevant to this child at that age. It really isn't. And the fact is that any of the good moral stuff that they're pulling out of those books, any of the good moral stuff, like not being somebody that is hateful towards another group, is all based off of Christianity anyways. It's just being misconstrued to the left's religious beliefs, where there is no God, where they think that they're good, they somehow derive themselves, that they somehow know what is right from wrong when they really don't. When that right from wrong, by the way, also changes depending on the time and day and age we live in. Because whatever that child is trying to be taught now will change in 5 years, it'll change in 10 years, it'll change in 15 years, because there is no objective truth in the religiousness of leftism. There isn't any. It's going to change every single day because they always move the goalposts. What they're talking about today was not what they were talking about 5 years ago or 5 years before that. And it will always continue to evolve into something totally different as new letters get added on. And before we realize it, we're going to have a LGBTQYAAP 1, 2, 3 plus you and me. Everything's going to be added on top of that because they don't have any clue where things are going. It's whatever they can move to next. That's what this is all about. And trying to teach your child something like this based off of the presumption that they are automatically a terrible person because of something that is their skin color that they didn't choose and something that is their sex of being male that they also didn't choose is absolutely ridiculous and bigoted and makes you a horrible parent and a horrible person. There's no way to get around that. That is not the same as a Christian raising their child to believe in God. That's not the same thing. Because babies and young children like that are completely innocent. They haven't even been taught right from wrong yet. They don't know what's happening. Yet that's the way that they're looking at this. And even if that wasn't the case, we surely wouldn't be looking at their skin color or what sex they were to determine all these presumed stupid ideas that you learned in your liberal arts college class. That's not what this is about. This isn't Twitter. And these people doing this to these children are what is going to cause these children to grow up not knowing anything about this world, not being prepared to deal with other people in this world, or opposing opinions or anything, because they are growing up in this ridiculous frame of mind. She has the right to raise her child however she wants, but that does not stop me from saying that she is completely racist towards her own child and sexist towards her own child. Nothing stopping me from saying that either, because that's true. That's what it is. And she should be ashamed of herself, and any other parent that's doing this should be completely ashamed of themselves as well. So with that being said, that is all I have for you today, and I will see you on the next one.